John and Gordy in the Morning is brought to you by John Peterson and Gordy Young in association with John and Gordy Productions, Civic Media, and your Uncle Steve. Side effects may include nausea, uncontrollable laughter, and the desire to throw your radio into Lake Mendota. Now, here they are, John and Gordy. We're sorry.
Right over here.
All right. Well, 92.7. Yes.
Good morning.
No, I'm not upset. I never get angry.
You've been grousing since you walked in half an hour ago.
I know.
About everything.
We were talking about speed limits yesterday, and we came up with a great solution that the city, could have used, right? Flip cards
or magnetic, stickers.
Right, to change that last number on the speed limit sign. Right. It's easy to do. All you have to do is, flip the card.
Right.
We saw that on What's My Line, right? They used to do that.
What's My Line? That's going back a ways. Yeah.
Well, I know. Check it out, folks, on the Game Show channel.
Yeah. Look for it.
But I thought of the speed limit as I was on Campus Drive. And it went down to 35.
Nobody goes 35 on Campus Drive.
There's no cross traffic, no sidewalks, no pedestrians anywhere for about a mile. It's the Autobahn here in Madison.
It is.
And they decided their ultimate wisdom is to knock it down to 35. What is going on with this town?
It's crazy.
I mean, it's
nuts.
I was going 50 today. Everybody else was too.
Right?
It's ridiculous. I mean, it really, truly is a speedway, and it's not dangerous or anything. We're only going 45 to 50 miles per hour.
And they want to spend $500,000 to drop the speed limits down all over the city.
Yeah.
Right?
And I began to think about other instances where I got upset about speed limits. And I came up with one.
Yeah.
And that is when you're on a freeway and you're moving across the United States, see the USA in your Chevrolet.
Right.
And you're going about 70 miles per hour, right? Some places 75.
Sure.
And all of a sudden you get in the city limits and it goes down to 55.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing's changed. The roadway is still the same. No cross traffic. Nothing. It's the same road, same highway. Should be the same speed, but they mark it down to 55. And I'm thinking, what the hell is this all about? Why knock it down to 55? Because I'm in a city now.
That's because the Chamber of Commerce wants to, get people to slow down a little bit, maybe pull off the road and go buy something.
Well, you don't pull off the road. You get on an exit ramp.
Right.
But here's the thing. I'm thinking maybe the only reason they would want to slow down is because of drive time traffic, right? You don't want people going 70 miles per hour. And I'm thinking, but no one could go 75 miles per hour in drive time traffic. It's stop and go.
Exactly.
No matter what speed it is, it's going to be stop and go drive time traffic. So you don't have to move the speed limit down to 55 because people... You don't want them going that fast during drive time. They can't. So, again, I knocked that one down.
Yeah, people should just drive with the speed of traffic around them.
Yeah.
Right? Most of the time.
And let
that's
everybody
the way to
pick
go.
the speed that they
just
want.
Pick the speed. It's up to you.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, it's another chilly start here this morning.
It is.
Yeah.
I looked at the forecast, and it looks like it's going to be like this for a long time, right?
Do you have any frost on
No,
the
I
windshield?
did not have any.
It's because it's really, really dry.
It is.
13 degrees currently.
Wow.
Would you like to know the afternoon high?
I would like to know that, but do we have the one-arm bandit all oiled up and
we do
and ready to go?
Yeah.
Oh, I oiled it just for you.
First number 0, second number 2, third number 9.
That's so fast.
29 for a high.
Blinding
Step
speed.
right
That's
up.
what happens when you oil it up.
Yeah.
It sounds so good.
Yeah. Okay.
And
29 for a high.
And Sam fixed my chair.
He did.
I didn't.
Yeah, the
didn't
chairs in the studio had a wobble to them. I was afraid that you were just going to fall off at some point.
Somewhere, yeah. The screws were
Yeah.
all going to loosen up so much that it would just fall off the pedestal. But
Yeah. But you tightened everything up.
this is really nice.
It
Yeah.
is, yeah.
Now as I jitter my legs all
How's the table
for the
doing?
next 2 hours, I'm not shaking the chair as well.
Is
This
the table
is solid,
wobbly?
man.
It looks,
This is solid.
feels pretty solid. Yeah.
This is what I was going to do. I was thinking, let's move the table,
Oh, no.
okay? And
Why?
we'll move this point, this corner,
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so Gordy and I are equally looking at you, Sam.
That'd be great.
Wouldn't that be just the
Yeah,
perfect
why
way
is
to
it
do
angled
this?
like this at all?
It shouldn't be like this at all because I can't look at Sam. If we just had the angle, you and I both could have a
We can
visual
see Sam.
contact.
We can make
because
this
we need-
happen. You have free will, John.
We need the time cues,
Right.
and you guys have been nailing me with time cues.
How about if we put a mirror right here?
Why don't we just move the table?
Okay.
Never
Think-
mind.
yeah.
I
We
know.
could try it.
I know
after
we're not going to move the table.
Let's not do it right now. Let's
right.
wait till the show's over.
Well, people
and experiment
don't
with it.
care, I suppose,
Although
you
that
know.
screen would be kind of in the way. I guess we could move the screen over a little
I think
bit.
we could probably move
Maybe
the pedestal of the screen.
Nobody
could be
knows how
turned.
our studio is set up. People don't understand
be
anything that you're
turned
saying
a
right
little
now.
bit.
I
Okay.
know they don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can see us right there. See?
Yeah.
Boom.
So, John, we
Boom.
have a
On
text here
Facebook.
about your speed limits.
Oh yes.
On the
okay.
interstate, it seems that speeds are controlled by the federal government, and it relates to population density. So
Oh,
that
okay.
might be the
That makes
reason
sense.
why
That's it.
for coming into.
And again, population density doesn't mean anything.
You're right.
There's
You're
no-
right. It doesn't have any bearing on what the speed limit ought to be. but
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Well, I appreciate that.
Take
Lynn.
it up
Thank
with
you.
the federal government.
Okay. Well, let's get to the National Day calendar. See what's happening there. Okay.
Yeah. I'm ready. I'm ready for bear.
I know. You hate this part of the show. Is it National Balloon Ascension Day?
Well, that's a good one to start with.
How about National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day? Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah. We're talking about speed limits. It's time to appreciate our law enforcement.
National Clean Water Day, National Apricot Day, or National Static Electricity Day. Which day is it, or is it not?
It's not apricot day.
You're wrong. It is
What?
National Apricot Day.
Oh my God, who gives a damn about apricot?
Well, the Apricot Appreciation
Industry.
Association.
The industry. Yeah, I know.
Sam, do you care to
That
guess?
was going to be my guess. I don't even know what to think now.
Oh, well, okay.
I guess I get the buzzer too.
Okay. Well, it is. Let's start with National Apricot Day. Let's
right.
appreciate the apricot.
No.
Okay. Related to the peach, you know, they're related.
Wow.
The apricot's velvety flesh is quite similar.
Well, you're starting off strong already.
However, the texture of the golden orange fruit is
Yeah.
firmer and the flavor more tart than its cousin. Since we easily preserve the apricot, we enjoy this versatile fruit all year long, fresh, canned, or dried. Ah, the apricot.
I love
Let's
the apricot.
salute the apricot,
Yes.
everybody. Okay. It's not National Clean Water Day. It should be, but it isn't. Okay, in case you're wondering
Wow,
which
you
one
really
of those
threw a
was
curveball
false.
at us.
It's National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. We always appreciate the police, even when they're writing us traffic tickets across the country.
No, then we don't.
Citizens take the lead to show support. National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. Law enforcement officers of every rank and file have chosen a profession that, puts their lives on the line every day for their communities.
That's
They've
right.
answered the call and of public service. It is demanding and often unappreciate them, but not today. We appreciate you today. Okay.
See, the unrealistic speed limit signs now have made everybody criminals. That's what they've done. They made everyone in the city a criminal.
This is the ringer here
a
today.
shame.
This is the one that I really want to find out about.
Okay.
National Static Electricity Day. Look at this
Because
picture.
it's so dry, right?
Look at this picture. Can you see that picture of this kid?
Oh my God!
He's
Child
touching
abuse.
one of those, one of those glass balls or whatever.
Oh,
they
Where
are.
it
yeah.
makes your hair stick out, a
Yeah.
pantograph generator.
Looks like he's really getting shocked.
Yeah.
Maybe a little shocking, but National Static Electricity Day. as an observance to explore static electricity. And
No, no,
do we really need to explore
we
it?
don't.
Okay. It's different from electric current carried by wires through a building, blah, blah, blah. Static electricity is produced when the positive and negative charges of an atom are out of balance. Okay?
Wow.
All right. That's enough of that.
I don't know. I'd probably be more afraid about static electricity if I knew there was an imbalance between atoms.
Well,
Wow.
yeah, that's what causes
rethink
static
that.
electricity.
Yeah.
The drier the winter months are, it's a better insulator than most for the humid air of summer. It says, I don't understand that. To help prevent static electricity, use a humidifier. So if you're getting shocked as you walk
Yes.
across your carpeted floor, put some moisture into the air, okay, with a humidifier.
Well, we were talking about that yesterday. A whole house humidifier.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
That's it for the National Day
Well,
calendar.
it seems a
for
little
today.
quick. Okay.
Let's
I look
go to the
forward
history
this time
books.
every
Okay.
morning.
Oh, let's go to the history
Sad that
Kindle.
it's over.
The History Kindle.
Yeah. It doesn't have the
Dial it
same.
up. Takes at least ever to load up.
What's that little explosion at the end? That's weird. Okay. What's happening in history world?
I couldn't find a ton of stuff today,
Oh.
but
You want to
I
skip
thought
it?
this was hilarious. Christopher Columbus. He wasn't just a bad person, he was also an idiot. Today in 1493, he noted in his journal when he was sailing, I believe, back to Europe, he saw what he believed to be mermaids in the water.
Oh.
And his sailors had to correct him. They were just manatees.
Very similar, though. I mean,
Apparently he had trouble with his eyesight.
I guess so.
mermaids weren't very well groomed or good looking at that time.
He did make a note of that. He said they're not
Really?
as beautiful as they look in paintings.
Oh, Chris.
Well, they look like manatees.
Yeah. Just got a minute here. We got some
Okay.
Apple history. Today in 2001, iTunes was released. Changed the music industry big time.
Yeah.
And then in 2007, the iPhone came out. That really changed things.
Oh, boy, did that.
2007?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right.
A while ago.
All right.
And iPhones, of course, took credit for a lot of technology that other people were using already.
Yeah.
Great.
We're going to come back with
You hate
birthdays.
Apple, don't you?
I hate Apple.
Birthdays right around the corner on John and Gordy in the morning, 18 past the hour.
Virtual Kane is my name, and I drove on the Danville train till so much cavalry came and tore up the tracks again. In the winter of '65, we were hungry, just barely alive. I took the train to Richmond.
92.7 WMDX. Sorry to make that go on so long.
Well, here comes to the chorus. Here.
All right, let's listen.
Okay.
Tonight they drove Dixie down.
Band song. That's Joan Baez singing. Why are we playing Joan Baez?
Instead of the band? Yeah, why are we doing
It's
that?
her birthday.
Oh.
Great. Fantastic. Oh,
How
that's
old is she?
super.
Well, born in 1941, so how old does that make her?
Older?
84?
Do math.
Yeah, 84, I think.
84? Okay.
All right.
Am I wrong?
I think you're right. Yeah, she's 84.
And
We were talking about her yesterday.
we were talking about her yesterday with Mike McCabe, and he mentioned that she and Bob Dylan
Hated each
were
other.
a pair, but they hated each other.
Yeah, but they were a pair for a few years.
yeah.
Back in the 60s, early 60s. Yeah. Okay. I don't think they I think they haven't talked to each other in years.
Yeah.
I think they may have mended fences, but they still don't talk.
I don't see. I never really liked Joan Baez.
Yeah.
The singing style.
Yeah. It's a real folky style, you know.
And who was the other female singer at the time? Folk singer.
Joni Mitchell?
No, she's
Okay.
fantastic.
Judy Collins?
Judy Collins.
Okay.
Never liked her.
She was just in Madison not too long ago. I
Just
think
kinda-
she's got relatives here.
A little too warbly
Yeah.
for me.
Really?
Yeah. Although,
Who else don't
she
you
did,
like?
She did a good job with, I believe, Suzanne, and she sang Suzanne with Leonard Cohen.
Oh.
And it was a great duo.
Mm-hmm. What about
That
Send in the
last
Clowns?
Oh my God! Please no. No.
Find that one, Sam.
My head is about to explode. Don't remind me of Send in the Clowns. God. Oh, jeez.
You're quite the music critic, aren't you?
Catherine was yelling at you about being a movie critic, too. You don't
You don't like
evaluate
much.
the qualities of a movie. You just I don't like this. This is a bad movie.
No, I look at the actual elements of the movie.
The
and
focus,
I balance it
the
out.
sound.
No, you focus on the focus and sound of a movie. But I don't think anybody disagrees with my opinion.
Some people like that style. I mean,
do they?
I don't know, but she was successful in the folk era.
I made
Joan
an
Baez.
exception with Buffy St. Marie, who had
Oh.
a very, very warbly voice, but for some reason she was just so unique. And Melanie had a fantastic,
Oh,
most
Melanie.
unique voice ever.
Melanie was great.
Yeah, she was fantastic.
Okay.
So I did like some of the female singers back then. It's just that those two just never. Joni Mitchell was the best. I mean, she was right up there with Melanie.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Great writer too. Any other birthdays you want to mention there, Sam?
It's Richard Nixon's birthday. Tricky Dick.
Oh, yeah.
Born today in 1913.
I'm not a crook.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a crook.
Oh.
And it's also Bart Starr's birthday.
Oh.
Born today in 1934.
Wow. Yeah. Those were some bad years in Green Bay. Not when he was a quarterback, but when he was a coach. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
I had never heard of Bart Starr until 4 years ago.
Oh.
No
Which is
kidding.
kind of crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. He had, what was the charity group that he headed up?
The Cherry Group.
Charity.
It's a charity group.
Charity group.
He's into cherries?
Yeah. Well, he was in Wisconsin for a long time, and cherries were very popular up there in the peninsula.
I don't know what his cherry.
No, it wasn't cherries, though.
He had a charitable group.
He had a
Okay.
charitable group. They took old vehicles.
Bart Starr's
Cars.
charitable group?
Yeah. What the heck was that?
Rawhide Youth
Rawhide
Services.
Youth Services, yeah. And they always,
Coincidentally,
it?
his wife's name is Cherry.
oh,
Yeah.
wow, Cherry Star.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah, they took in old vehicles. I remember that. I think I donated one of my cars to them.
I
That's
think my family did as
what I
well. My
remember.
brother hit the car that he drove when he was in high school.
Mhm.
My parents forcibly took it away from him because it was literally falling apart.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Well, a lot of players. They had Forrest Gregg up there. Lindy Infante wasn't a player, but it was not a bad couple of years with him. But Forrest Gregg and Bart Starr did not make it as coaches.
No.
Sadly.
No.
Kind of sullied their careers just
Too
a little
bad.
bit.
It's too bad. Okay.
Were you a big fan of the Green
No.
Bay Packers?
Not back then. No.
Okay.
Back then, I lived
Jumped
around.
on the bandwagon when
Well, I lived
Brett
in
Favre-
Chicago at the time, but
Well,
I've
that's
lived,
true.
I've lived in Wisconsin, more than 25,
But you had
30
a great
years
team.
now.
You had a great team.
Well,
Butkus,
yes. Ditka.
Ditka.
Yeah. Yeah. And, of course, the 85 Bears with Jim McMahon. And
Oh, yeah.
Walter Payton.
Sure, yeah.
Those
yeah.
were the
You
glory
love that
days.
rap song.
That 1 year.
You
oh,
really
boy.
love that rap song.
They were great in 85. Yeah.
And I
that
remember when
song.
you were breakdancing to that. There was something else, man. But
Oh,
I told
those
you,
were the days.
I told you breakdancing wasn't popular
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah, now I've got arthritis in my knees and because of all that breakdancing I did.
What did you do with all the breakdancing clothes? Oh, God.
Parachute pants.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, breakdancing. Wow.
Okay.
What a disaster.
I know. Those are, very popular with some people, breakdancing. They can really do it. This portion of the John and Gordy Morning Show is brought to you by Verlo Mattress. Sleep better, dream bigger on a handcrafted Verlo mattress. Find them on Madison's east side or west side or online at verlo.com and ask them about their lifetime guarantee.
They were quite the performers. Breakdancers. Today, when you see somebody who breaks into a breakdance,
Right.
it's actually entertaining now.
Well, sure.
Back
they made
then
it into an
it
Olympic
wasn't.
sport last time.
Oh, really?
Right? Yeah.
Wow.
We had that. We got a lot of stuff coming up here. Nick Ramos is going to join us from the Wisconsin Democracy Campaign a little bit later on.
BustED Pencils
Yep,
next.
They are coming up next.
And we've got a big story. Meta has turned into a hate group.
all that
Get to that.
straight ahead.
Shuffling on down, doing it for you. We're so bad, we know we're good. Blowing your mind like we knew we would. You know we're just strutting for fun, strutting our stuff for everyone. We're not here to start no trouble. We're just here to do the Super Bowl shuffle. We are the Bears Shuffling Crew. Shuffling on down.
I got to tell you, I love McMahon.
Yeah.
I
was a
loved them all.
wild
The
man.
Fridge, everybody. I mean, they were just huge personalities.
Oh, yeah.
Every one of them. Yeah.
Morning, Tim.
Well, hi, Tim. We can't hear Tim.
Hello, Tim.
You're muted in StreamYard.
You
There
can't hear me because I was muted.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Now we can hear you.
Yes.
Yeah.
All
Wow.
right.
We were reminiscing how great breakdancing was at the time.
Oh yeah. I
You
I
did
was
that?
You
No,
did your share
God.
of breakdancing?
no. No, not capable of spinning on the top of my head.
Oh, it was the clothing. You really had to wear the right clothing.
True.
What are we
true.
talking about today? What we got on
Did you read the stories he sent
the...
us?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
Well,
come on.
actually, I didn't actually check that out.
Oh, come on. I read them.
Well, let me
Well,
skim
good for
through
you.
here.
One is about instead of getting rid of the Department of Education, rebranding it and repurposing it, sort of.
Okay.
And the other one is one that Tim wrote
Looking at it right here.
about, what is it, the Oklahoma State Superintendent?
Ryan Walters, our buddy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Do we have that? We have that comment, I believe. Can you look for Ryan Walters?
He
What does he
decided He decided that New Orleans was the result of teachers.
Yep.
Right.
Oh,
Teachers teaching terrorism.
Terror,
What-
yeah.
Do you have that?
I
It
see.
should be this month.
This month.
I mean, yeah, it was right. You know, it was January 1st or whatever.
Yeah.
He came out I don't know, the day or so after, but there's that. Yeah, and then a person yesterday in K-12 Dive decided, let's not get rid of the Department of Education. Let's call it the Department of American Competitiveness. And
Who came up with that?
a former Biden staffer decided that, you know, we are shitty in math, shitty in science, and so let's become the Department of American Competitiveness. And
Wow. All right.
you know,
That makes sense.
That
yeah,
is
because
just
Yeah.
you know, we
Oh, it's-
our number one concern is making sure that we're providing workers.
So I had I had
And
looked-
whatever else you have too.
No,
You didn't hear.
no, this is really good. Redirecting or
Sure.
changing the direct. What did you want to do with the Department of Education?
This author wants to rebrand it.
Oh, rebranded. Okay.
Yeah, because Donald Trump, you know,
Partner. Competitive.
he's an entrepreneur at heart.
He really.
Yes, he is.
Yeah. I
You
had. Yeah, I was going to ask you about the Ira David Sokol.
Okay.
And again, I listened to your podcast. I think that was the only one that really kind of dealt with some of the other details of, you know, education and all that
Right.
stuff. And you mentioned also, you know, maybe you can talk a little bit about Carter as well.
Sure.
But I've just got your email here.
Yeah. Got it. We got him here.
So let's see here. Do I want
Well, I
to
only
mix
I only
education
sent I only sent those just in case there was anything, you know, potential. But yeah, you know, the Ira David Sokol is a great one. And
Yeah.
then we have a pretty significant drop next Wednesday coming up too.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys, Howard Gardner, Dr. Howard Gardner,
I don't know.
he came up with the idea of multiple intelligences
20 seconds.
instead of one single form of
Oh.
test-based IQ. But anyway, yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff. So, but Ira, you know, Designed to Fail.
Yes. Yeah.
Actually, his book is amazing, and it really does point out that, you know, for a lot of kids, school doesn't work, and it's not the kids' fault.
This portion of the show is being brought to you by Ed's Decaffeinated Caffeine. For people who like feeling nervous and wide awake, but hate running to the bathroom all the time.
Coffee.
92.7 WMDX. You know, we haven't really had the coffee guy pass through the studio recently.
I know. Where has he been?
Where are all the coffee
Hey,
songs?
anybody want
Oh,
coffee?
Here he
oh,
comes
damn
right
it.
Who
now.
wants coffee?
You
Should've
just
knocked
mentioned
on
it.
wood.
Here he is.
Does anybody want
Over here.
coffee?
Over here.
Who wants coffee?
Come on.
Does anybody want coffee?
He
Who
didn't
wants
hear us.
coffee?
Can't see.
He didn't hear
You
us.
want
Okay.
coffee?
There he goes.
There he goes.
Well, hope your coffee's hot
Yeah.
wherever you are.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right.
boy.
Well, our special guest this morning again, BustED Pencils. Tim Slekar is here, and we've got a whole bunch of topics to cover this morning. That's for sure.
Yeah, where do we begin?
I know. What the heck, right? Let's get to the big story, and that is Trump wanting to get rid of the education department. We've talked about that ad nauseum, but he wants to rebrand it instead.
Well,
What do
it's
you got
not.
on that,
It's
Tim?
not him. It's not him. This is an
Oh.
opportunist. We found this story in one of the places we get a lot of education news, called K-12 Dive, and Haley Matz-Medvin was part of the Biden Department of Education, and she said, "Hey, Trump, you know what? Because you're such an entrepreneur, why don't you rebrand the Department of Education, because actually, and then she goes into this continued, math and science. Kids in America stink. China is beating our butts, and so Donald, here's the idea. Let's take the Department of Education and let's call it the Department of American Competitiveness.
My God.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
Anytime you add American in it, I'm just, starting to.
I mean, you got the
Gulf of America.
Gulf of America coming along. You got our
Yeah.
our 51st state of Canada starting to come forward. Maybe 52nd state too when you add Greenland.
Right. Yes.
So a Department of American Competitiveness, why not?
Exactly. It all makes sense now, doesn't it?
Well, it goes back to, and you pointed this out, we did a tribute to Jimmy Carter. And in that podcast, really talk about that the Department of Education came through the Carter administration, was put together and ratified in 1979. And the biggest reason for the Department of Education was, first of all, civil rights, and making sure that civil rights laws were applied in schools, particularly against segregation. And then the other main component was to say, hey, if you're a school and you do not have the funds that you need, so in other words, schools working mostly with poor children, the federal government would come in and equalize and provide funding so that all kids would have the opportunity to get access to the types of tools and education and teachers they need. And so then, right away in 1980, with the election of Ronald Reagan, the Department of Education has been in the crosshairs ever since by conservative Republican presidents, largely from the standpoint of saying, education is a state's right. Whatever. Yes, we know that. But the Department of Education is really we talk about it. It doesn't have the implications at the state level for curriculum and things like that. It really is. It's a civil rights organization. It's a funding organization. It's a, it's really important. But so this idea of rebranding it, though, to the Department of American Competitiveness actually is silly. And I'll say, as stupid as this is actually in line with what we see a lot of things happening in a lot of states right now anyway. So in my state of Ohio, what used to be the State Department of Education is now the State Department of Workforce and Education. And
that's awful.
Yeah. Well, because it's this whole idea of saying, if we want schools to stop teaching that woke terrorism crap, we'll have them focus on preparing workers.
Right. Yes. That's much better.
It's much better because that way they'll go out and get jobs doing things that AI is going to replace them with anyway.
That's right.
There you go.
That's right. It's an amazing thing. They did that in Wisconsin. They took away parental rights for 16 and 17-year-olds to get permission to go out and work.
Yes.
Parents didn't have to okay that anymore. You can just take off.
There we go.
It's true freedom.
It is.
Tim, we've got a phone call here from Matt in Middleton. He has a comment or a question. What do you got for us, Matt?
Morning, guys. I have a general question about education in America and how we're failing people, considering, the difference between private, religious, public. Because I've seen some podcasts with some of these younger people who are Christian and they're MAGA, and to say that they're stupid is putting it lightly. But where are we failing? I know we're not teaching civics enough. That's where civic media helps. But how do you solve this, ignorance problem? Because, other countries are now laughing at Trump because he's such an idiot and he's making America look stupid. What can we do education-wise to spread critical thinking and help this ignorance problem.
Well, Tim,
Thanks.
didn't Ira David Sokol talk about that?
Yeah.
That the school systems are kind of at fault for not making the improvements they need in public schools.
Yeah, and Matt's question too is much. There's a tinge of kind of like the ignorance of MAGA, to really look at and kind of say, what is the purpose of American public education? And yeah, our podcast last Saturday, the show that ran on Civic Media Saturdays, we interviewed an author who just now released a book called Designed to Fail: History of American Education. And he really points out that as far back as the beginning of the organization of the American public school system, that it was designed to create workers. And the other part of it is that it was also designed to get rid of 80% of the students that were in there, because guess what? The idea of creating an informed electorate, or as Matt was saying, critical thinkers, that was never the purpose of American public schools. It was through some reformers and progressive ideas that we've had this concept, but American public schools have always been largely focused on workforce development. And with that, then too, is a real genuine sorting mechanism where the majority of students are kept out of the kind of critical thinking content and topics, which now when you start to look at that and say, so what are the implications of an education system that is largely driven towards creating workers, is that you've got a large part of the population then that ends up being miseducated. I'll say that, as opposed to uneducated. So how do we move this forward? I think that the entire attack on public education, though, too, has always been related to trying to, first of all, create this image as if the American public school system is creating a bunch of woke, critically minded, anti-American terrorists. When the reality is that the American system of education has been really good at pretty much keeping the status quo the way things are. And whether there's an edge of kind of, an anti-critical thinking, I think Matt's right. But to be honest, there's never been a real drive in American education to create active citizens and democracy kind of looking people. It's always been a status quo system. What to get to a critical electorate, though, we need to then reimagine public education, not get rid of it through vouchers and small private schools. What Ira says is that we've got a public school system that needs to be changed with its purpose at looking at and saying we need all kids to feel welcome in schools, to be engaged, to be put to have the opportunity to develop their skills. And some of those kids are going to be really great at math, and some of those kids are going to be really great at writing, and some kids are going to be really great at music. And for all of those kids, they need the opportunity to thrive in schools, not be denied that education. If we do that, Matt, in other words, really double down and say public education is the cornerstone, the foundation of American democracy, we then protect, save American public education, and then go in and make the changes that are necessary from the standpoint of saying, how do we create thriving students? And you're not going to do that through a private school voucher system that largely, as we see, 80% of those students are already in private schools. And so we're essentially robbing the public schools to keep wealthy kids in elite private schools.
Well, I thank Matt for that phone call, talking to Dr. Tim Slekar from BustED Pencils. And I want to get back to this rebranding that this Haley Medvin suggests the Trump administration does. Well, I mean, part of her article here, it seems to be instead of just getting rid of the department, again, just rebrand it as something like and she mentions George W. Bush had no child left behind, and Barack Obama said, they developed Common Core. So maybe rebranding it to something else rather than just dismantling it completely. She's offering that suggestion. Is there any other option?
Well, and that's the idea of kind of rebranding. You can hear in some of the things that I'm saying and some of the things that Ira Sokol was saying in our show last week. There is a real potential to say, guess what? Let's really see how we can use a Department of Education to make some really amazing necessary changes to the American public school system. Is that a rebranding or is that a reimagining of the purpose of the Department of Education? See, so that for me, when I see what the Department of American Competitiveness, I don't see that as a rebranding. I actually see that as doing away with the truly, really doing away with the civic mission of equity, equality, and protecting students, and turning schools into truly factories that are committed to creating workers. And I'll be honest, the workers that they're trying to create, I'm not sure that we have that many job openings. In fact, she leans into we need more STEM graduates. And there's been research now that shows that for all of the STEM graduates out there, there just aren't the jobs to go with all of these. And so you have STEM graduates, working at Walmart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
The thing is, they branded everything now woke. And
Yeah.
so it's always, it covers everything that they don't like. And I always thought that the schools that focused a lot on recognizing misinformation, actually classes on that would be real beneficial.
And you just brought it up, John. In fact, maybe you're hinting at this, but there's a pretty significant research and expose on Finland where they are absolutely 100% committed to teaching kids to find misinformation. Imagine that.
I know.
Wow.
In this day and age.
Schools committed to teaching kids to be critically thinking oriented, that when they read something, take a look and try to verify it before you actually put it up on YouTube as the next theory of everything.
Right. It covers everything. I mean, it really is beneficial for everyone.
We will continue with Busted Pencils, Dr. Tim Slekar, in just a moment on John and Gordy in the Morning.
All right, I did find, I didn't actually have the cut, but now we do. Ryan Walters.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's in his car.
Yes. The MAGA studio of 2025.
I have the TikTok in my car commentary.
Front seat of my car. Let me pull over here and drop some wisdom on y'all.
That's right. Maybe you guys, think about doing something from your car.
Yeah. Hold on a minute. I got to stop everything. I have something so profound I need to pull over and share it with everybody.
Hey, Johnny, let's do this thing. Oh, my God. Hey, I've got a weird story here. Online schooling has proven to be absolutely a disaster. But in Arizona, they have artificial intelligence is on the foreground of the Arizona online charter school. You heard about that?
Yeah, that's a whole other kind of story. And there's parts of it. I don't think we want to go there for this segment. There's parts of this that actually really do make sense because it starts to look at the realities of saying, hey, guess what? Maybe we can allow kids some real options for the things that they're great in. They can excel at the times that make sense to them, as opposed to, age and grade, and the whole idea that in 6th grade you have to do this, in 7th grade you have to do this. Going, no, you kind of move forward, and there are AI tools that can allow for some individualization. And instead of teachers, and this is what's got the American public school advocates really in arms, they kind of rebrand teachers as guides.
Yeah, I want to see.
Yeah.
Can we bring? Do you want to bring that up?
I
No?
don't know. Yeah, let's save it, because I got
Okay. All right. Let's do that.
Coming up.
Ryan Walters. Come on, pulling over on the side of the road. That's good stuff.
.7 WMDX. John and Gordy in the morning.
And this portion of the John and Gordy Morning Show brought to you by Verlo Mattress, where you can sleep better, dream bigger on a handcrafted Verlo mattress. You can find them on Madison's east side or west side, or just go online at verlo.com and ask about their lifetime guarantee.
BustED Pencils. Tim Slekar is here, and we've been looking all around for the Ryan Walters cut. Now we do have it. This is a road wisdom, basically.
Yes.
people speaking wisdom from the front seat of their car.
Yeah, I just said, holy crap, I got something awesome. I need to pull over and share it with the world.
Exactly, and this is what he shared with the world.
You have schools that are teaching kids to hate their country, that this country is evil. You have the teachers' unions pushing this on our kid. The radical left wants people to hate this country. They've completely destroyed the integrity of the FBI by making them more concerned about DEI than about protecting Americans. It's a major part of this. And look, this is a real uncomfortable truth. I know the left is going to lose their mind, but listen, we cannot allow our schools to become terrorist training camps. We cannot allow our schools to teach our kids to hate this country. We cannot allow our kids to teach that this is an evil country. That's why we are getting back to the basics here in Oklahoma, to make sure that our kids love this country, understand American values, understand the role that the Constitution, the Bible, the Declaration of Independence played in American history, because we want patriots. And that's got to be the focus of our schools.
Now, you kind of see through it right away when you think that the left wants to make their kids hate America.
Yes.
I mean, just there's a tip off there, and it sounds ridiculous and stupid right away, but this is the superintendent of schools, right? I mean,
Yes.
this guy is in charge of all the schools
In
and this
Oklahoma.
is his point of view in Oklahoma. And it's just an amazing thing. And of course, he missed the job at the Department of Education. So
He let me.
I was on your side. I thought he was a shoe-in for
I
this
thought
thing.
for sure. To me, this is a audition tape number 2 here too.
Yes.
In case Linda McMahon doesn't get confirmed, he's still there.
We haven't heard anything about her either.
Yeah, but this. Yeah, kind of, I should say, road wisdom as he pulls off. But, put it in perspective. He released this the day after New Orleans and the terrorist attack in New Orleans, and his implications here. And this is the kind that, that it's horrible. His implications is that New Orleans, the terrorist, is the result of American public education. And that teachers somehow created the conditions that empowered this terrorist to take innocent lives. And I mean, this is the craziness here. And the when you think about the people that will then listen to Ryan Walters, who share this, they hear this as truth. They understand this and hear this as a rallying cry to go out and do something. I'm concerned that this in and of itself is an inciting of another group of people to do potentially bad things to our public school teachers. Because if you've got the belief that you're, the 5th grade teacher, Mrs. Smith is training and grooming terrorists in there, you're really creating the unsafe conditions
Yeah.
for teachers, because you're really turning your neighbors into they believe that they're protecting and saving kids and they're saving Americans. This is dangerous rhetoric. So yeah, that's why I also, you can check out the blog on Civic Media where I put out a blog discussing this, but not really recognizing that yes, Ryan Walters is in Oklahoma, but there are Ryan Walters everywhere.
Yeah.
They're in Wisconsin, they're in Ohio, they're in there. Any of these people that continue to proclaim that American public schools are teaching kids to hate America, breeding terrorism, they're everywhere. And we need to be on the lookout, and we need to call this out and point out that this is dangerous rhetoric. This is dangerous rhetoric. Students learning to to distinguish fact from fantasy in schools, that's not woke. That's the purpose of American education. That's not that's not teaching kids to hate schools. So yeah, I could roll on that one.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Tim, we were talking about fact checking before, and we got a text here from Catherine. It says Madison East High School does have our English class that is research focused on how to do research and how to dig in.
Right. And you mentioned Finland, I mean, where they were actually teaching, recognizing misinformation.
Yeah.
And one person texted here and said, "Can we buy Finland?"
Well, I like that.
Appreciate that. Yeah.
I'm with it.
I was just thinking, though, as I was rambling, I should have saved all that, ran out to my driveway and got in my car.
Yes.
We could do that next time.
Yes, it has more of an impact.
Yeah. Next Thursday, I'm going to set up, my mic in the front seat of my car.
Yes, that would be great.
All right. Well, we'll look forward to that.
Yes.
We're just about out of time here, Tim, but we want to remind everybody you can listen to BustED Pencils. You drop podcasts Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and then you're live on the Civic Media Network on Saturdays
at 3.
At 3
Yeah,
o'clock.
and if you want a real deep dive into the Department of Education rebranding, that's what's going to be on Saturday. We spend a whole hour trying to make a sense of this mess.
I hope so. Anyway,
always a pleasure, Tim.
All right, Tim.
Thank you, guys. Really appreciate it. Yep.
All
Have
right.
a great day.
Take care.
Coming up in our next hour, we'll talk to Nick Ramos from the Wisconsin Democracy Campaign.
And Meta has turned into a domestic hate group.
Oh, it's all coming up.
John and Gordy in the morning. As we were saying, let the sun shine. It's the John and Gordy Show.
Tim, they talk a lot about patriotism.
Yes.
And having that in the classroom. Are there any examples? Are you aware of all the examples? Like Florida probably has that in place. This propaganda that they're trying to squeeze into public education.
You mean where the actual curriculum?
Yeah, because they're always talking about teaching people to be real Americans.
Real Americans. In fact, I think you even saw this when we covered this. A curriculum provider. PragerU, Dennis Prager.
PragerU, yes.
That is.
They're doing that.
That content is all God Patriot based.
Okay.
Are they doing it with like stuff that's true or stuff that's not?
Oh
true?
no,
like,
they're making up stories. In fact, one of the cartoons, Frederick Douglass, is advocating. Maybe we shouldn't have gone for abolition so quick, because some slaves really enjoyed being slaves.
Exactly. That's one of the examples.
You mentioned that once before.
Yeah, but I mean that content is being purchased and being used in a lot of American public schools. In fact, Florida is one of the subscribers to PragerU's curriculum. So the answer is yes, John. They're,
All right.
So
just wondering. All right.
Yeah. Go check out some PragerU videos, man. They're
Yeah.
they're
I do have one. I can't remember what the topic was, but it was just stunningly amazing to me, and I saved it. I just can't remember it at this point. But
Yeah, the one on
Dennis Prager was doing this.
the one on
narration
Christopher
it.
Columbus is classic.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll look for that one.
All right, guys.
All right, Tim. Thanks.
See ya.
Yep.
It's a beautiful morning.
We got a new act. It's phenomenal. It's sensational. It's terrific. It's even mediocre.
No, it's disgusting. It's a ploy.
What a ass.
You have a pretty fun show. I listen to it most of the time, you know. Keep up the good work.
God, I love you. Get the hell off the stage.
Nice work, everyone. Sharp broadcast. Really good.
Good morning, John and Gordy.
Good morning, John and Gordy.
Good morning, John and Gordy.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's 13 degrees, highs today close to 29 this afternoon with a mix of clouds and sunshine. Right now, again, clear skies.
Yeah, it's a
13.
fantastic day today.
It's beautiful here. Man, California, Los Angeles County.
Just amazing.
5 major fires, 100,000 people displaced.
Moving into Hollywood.
Evacuated. Yeah, in the Hollywood Hills now, 5 people have died total, as far as they know. And 2,000 structures burned. And on it goes. I mean, it's just amazing.
The video that is coming out on this, I watched one on Twitter, and the guy was in his home, and he had windows all around the house, and he's taking video of the fire outside his home. He's
like
surrounded
a panoramic
view
all around
of the fire surrounding his home, which maybe he thinks his home won't catch fire. I don't know. It was very strange, and everybody was wondering whether the guy is still alive or not. Wow.
Yeah. And
thanks for reporting that.
They expect the winds may start to die down today a bit. And they'll get a handle on at least some of this. But, oh, boy. Never anything like this I can remember in my lifetime. I got to try and get a hold of it. I have 2 different friends in different parts of Los Angeles. And I want to try to call them. Maybe get them on the air tomorrow
This is the more wooded areas around Los Angeles. Because I remember I said yesterday, I didn't remember seeing any trees in Los Angeles.
There
a
trees.
lot of hills, but not many trees to burn down. But apparently, it's just the high winds that they had out there. Although I believe they have calmed down just a little bit.
Just a bit. And very dry conditions. They've had, very little rain there in the last few months.
Yeah.
So.
All right. This was stunning stuff. The announcements from Meta that they've changed their rules, their policy.
Zuckerberg, just, it's okay. We don't need fact checkers, right?
Yeah. In terms of policy, why don't we play cut 28 again and just refresh our memories just a little bit here.
In a letter he sent to the House Judiciary Committee a few months ago, that sort of outlined the way in which we got a lot of pressure around COVID in particular to take down more content, even things like humor and satire about the pandemic and about vaccines. So we did experience that kind of pressure. The decisions we made ultimately were our own, but there's a real opportunity here with President Trump coming into office with his commitment to free expression for us to get back to those values and really provide space for people to have the kind of discourse and debate they want to have.
You guys going to continue this after his presidency, or is this just a temporary thing for the moment?
This is an opportunity for us to get back to the values that Mark founded the company on. This runs deep for Mark. It's a great opportunity to rebalance and to get back to free expression.
Right. Yeah, you know how Biden was against free expression, the First Amendment,
Sure.
Liberals are always trying to silence people, or at least scare them into being silent in the classroom. We know that. Thank you. Thank you that was the policy chief for Meta. Let's listen to Zuckerberg. That's cut 29, and his point on this.
I want to talk about something important today because it's time to get back to our roots around free expression on Facebook and Instagram. But a lot has happened over the last several years. There's been widespread debate about potential harms from online content. Governments and legacy media have pushed to censor more and more. A lot of this is clearly political, so we built a lot of complex systems to moderate content. But the problem with complex systems is they make mistakes. And we've reached a point where it's just too many mistakes and too much censorship. The recent elections also feel like a cultural tipping point towards once again prioritizing speech. So we're going to get back to our roots and focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our policies, and restoring free expression on our platforms. First, we're going to get rid of fact checkers and replace them with community notes similar to X, starting in the US. After Trump first got elected in 2016, the legacy media wrote nonstop about how misinformation was a threat to democracy. We tried in good faith to address those concerns without becoming the arbiters of truth.
But oh well.
But the fact checkers have just been too politically biased and have destroyed more trust than they've created, especially in the US. So over the next couple of months, we're going to phase in a more comprehensive community notes system. Second, we're going to simplify our content policies and get rid of a bunch of restrictions on topics like immigration and gender that are just out of touch with mainstream discourse. What started as a movement to be more inclusive has increasingly been used to shut down opinions and shut out people with different ideas, and it's gone too far.
Immigration and gender, which seem to be the hot topics on the right.
Yes.
The mega right.
Right.
They're attacking everyone on the right. The immigrants and gender. Now, here's the thing. I mean, that's what they're loosening up on Meta. So the problem here is, and this is reported on CNN, they looked at the terms of policy here. This is what they came up with. Users are now allowed to, for example, and that's why I'm calling this Meta turns into a domestic hate group. Users are now allowed to, for example, refer to women as household objects or property, and that's in quotes, or in quotes, transgender or non-binary people as it, according to a section of the policy prohibiting such speech that was crossed out now. The R word, we mentioned that on this show. We got a complaint from a father who didn't want to hear the R word. But anyway, that is probably okay now. A new section of the policy notes Meta will allow allegations of mental illness, the R word, or abnormalities when based on gender or sexual orientation, given political and religious discourse about transgenderism and homosexuality. So now it's okay for those groups to be attacked on Meta. Again, Meta turns into a domestic hate group, folks. And that's what this is all about. The problem I have is that, Facebook, I go to Facebook. I watch some of the old commercials, pictures of Milwaukee. They have certain websites that specialize in that. I like going there to see these things.
Yes.
But I want to boycott it. I want to get off of Facebook. I want to get out of there.
Do you?
I don't. This is way over the top what they're doing.
Yeah.
Zuckerberg is doing this to kiss up to the golden idol, and I am just done with this. I'm done. Elon, Zuckerberg. We have no choices. These are billionaires that are controlling our lives. The X or Twitter now. We can't call it X because that would be playing into Elon's idea of what he is trying to do there. So we call it Twitter now, and Facebook has turned into the enemy of this country, and now they're going to be basically a right-wing group. I asked my son, my older son, about what we could do about this. He's a Gen Zer, and he said, well, you just stop going to Facebook. And I said, I'm not ever going to give up and stop fighting this. I am not going to create what we created in the 80s and 90s, and that was domination by AM radio to talk right wing.
Yeah.
Now, if we allow all the social medias to suddenly just turn into right wing media sources, then we've just given up. So we've got to do something else on all of this.
What's the movie Social?
The Social Network.
Social Network.
Yeah.
I mean, that came out a few years ago, but all of these things that it points out are now coming true. Coming true.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, women as household objects or property, and transgender or non-binary people as it. So you can attack those individuals now. You can do this freely on Meta. Now people can put their notes in, and who cares, right? No one's going. It's going to be just normalized to the point where no one even checks the notes. I mean, if it says what they like to hear people say, then they're just going to accept it, and this will just spread the word even more. throughout the world, by the way.
Yeah.
How would that apply to white men? Can you attack white men? Somebody already kind of went out there and tested the new system that Meta has, and that is they called Mark Zuckerberg a few names.
Oh, really?
And but it's free speech now, right?
Yeah.
Ever since
It's
Trump
the wild,
was
wild
elected,
West.
Yeah. Now we have that opening to go back to free speech again. This
speech.
is upside down, man. This is just no. Biden didn't stop anybody from doing anything. The federal government suggested that this was something that they should take a look at. If they didn't notice it, if their fact checkers didn't look at this stuff, the federal government would step in and say, well, this is happening. This is happening. These are lies about this. These are untrue things they're saying about healthcare. They're just suggesting it. They're not asking Facebook to do any kind of censoring.
Mm-hmm. Got a text in here says, "Can we call Trump names?" Is that all right?
Well, I don't know.
On Facebook?
I don't know. Is there a part in their terms of policy that allows that? Some experts who have studied the online information ecosystem raised alarms that the changes could lead to more viral false claims and hate speech on Meta's platforms, which is what I'm saying here, and that's why I think Meta has turned into a domestic hate group. Among other changes to Meta's hateful conduct policy, the company allowing statements denying the existence of protected groups, such as statements that a certain group of people doesn't or shouldn't exist. In other words, you can actually say that now.
Wow.
Say that, transgenders shouldn't exist.
Anything goes.
Yeah. Well, ever since Trump was elected, I feel like we can move more into that free speech area, The policy also allows for content arguing in favor of gender-based limitations of the military, law enforcement, and teaching jobs.
Okay.
Boy, I tell you.
It's a brave new world.
And this, I found this, leaked documents expose the real reason why they have these new terms. Zuckerberg acknowledges this will allow more bad things on the platform by following X's lead. Meta's betting on a future where it's not experts anymore, it's users who will decide what's true and what isn't.
Boy. Yeah. Buckle up.
I know.
18 past the hour, coming up in about 15 minutes. Nick Ramos from Wisconsin Democracy Campaign. Brittany, good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Well, hello.
Hi.
Good.
We're doing all right. How are you?
Awesome. Good.
Snow? Snow.
No snow.
I want more.
Just a little snow, maybe an inch.
Baby
maybe.
snow.
But it'll hang around because it's going to be cold.
Better than being in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Boy, that's outrageous, isn't it? Jeez.
It is. It is.
I mean,
the video is just, it's so much.
It is. It's crazy.
It makes you feel so small, how fast it can happen into anyone.
WMDX. John and Gordy in the morning.
This portion of the John and Gordy Morning Show brought to you by Verlo Mattress. Sleep better, dream bigger on a handcrafted Verlo mattress. Find them on Madison's east side or west side or at Verlo.com. Time now for us to welcome in Brittany Merlot. Merlot in the morning, right here on John and Gordy. Good morning, Brittany.
Hello.
Good morning. Merlot madness.
Yes. Oh, boy. Well, it's pretty peaceful around Wisconsin, that's for sure, weather-wise. Just boring.
Yeah, pretty much.
I like
Clear and
it.
cold. I know, right? It's like days off.
This is great stuff. I mean, we're sitting here on the sideline, looking at CNN and watching the report from California. The fires are just wiping out everything. Yes. Absolutely everything.
All over Los Angeles County, yeah.
Yeah. And on the right, the megas are blaming liberals for not cleaning up the forests again. And it's all the liberals' fault for this.
Yeah.
And even though we have warned for at least 30 or 40 years that climate change will cause conditions just like this and cost hundreds of billions of dollars, trillions of dollars to take care of all of this and rebuild people's homes, their lives, everything that they've lost.
Hurricane winds, drought, it's all...
It's just so outrageous that they have the balls to blame liberals for climate change at this point. Yeah. And while they still deny climate change.
Yeah, it turns out John actually started the fire. John's an arsonist.
Yeah.
He was out in California a couple weeks ago.
That's right. So,
okay.
Oh my gosh, no. The climate change and drought itself probably started this fire. Just put those Santa Ana winds on top of that, with the dry air pushing in. It's the season for them. When you get 60-mile-per-hour winds and dry vegetation, you're going to get these wildfires, and it's going to become more and more common. I was reading, people used to say there was a Santa Ana season for these strong winds. Well, now they're saying it's all year for California, Yeah.
Just outrageous.
Sad,
and Gordy was bringing up the fact that the smoke kind of gathers in these valleys on the West Coast there in L.A.
Yeah. The air quality
the air quality has always been kind of a problem there. They've cleared it up quite a bit. But now with this smoke, I can't even imagine what it must be like to breathe that air down there.
No, and we got a taste of that, a couple of years ago?
I
Just
know.
a little bit of wildfire smoke.
I think that's what I'm referring to. It was just horrible here, right? We had to lock away. We had air alerts.
It's much worse. Much worse for them,
Let's turn to something a little more optimistic around.
Okay.
A silver lining.
Gordy's always looking at the bright side of life. So.
Trying to. It's getting more and more difficult. But,
seriously.
We do have a little hint of some snow perhaps coming our way.
Yep, just a little bit. So that big system that, of course, is hitting down south from Texas all the way to Nashville, bringing heavy snow and ice. That same thing is kind of joining up and giving us a little burst of snowfall. So we do have that moving in after midnight and winding down by early tomorrow morning. So really just looking at a half an inch, honestly, maybe just a trace of snowfall to maybe not much at all. It's not got a lot of oomph with it.
Dusty.
So
Yeah.
The better chance will be on Sunday. We have a clipper system moving through. It's headed straight for us. We could get it 1 to 3 inches from that one. So.
Oh, okay.
Well, at least people get out on the lakes now because they're solid.
True.
Yeah, there are a lot of ice fishermen out there.
Oh, yeah.
Monona Bay, here and there.
Did you hear about there was a food delivery truck driver up north who was out on a frozen lake and he was trying to deliver food to someone who was fishing early in the morning, and that truck went right through the ice.
Oh no.
That was in Wausau, wasn't it?
Somewhere up here. Yeah, I can't remember the exact
Was there video of
Shawano,
that?
I think.
Shawano.
Okay, Shawano.
Yeah,
Well,
somebody, the
wouldn't be
delivery driver
surprised.
just decided to drive out to the guy's ice shack to deliver his food.
Yep.
You have relatives in Shawnee, don't you?
I do have relatives in
Did I
Shawnee.
pronounce
You
it
never
wrong,
talk
John?
about that. What happened to this?
Well, I have a cousin who lives on Shawnee Lake.
Yeah.
And I wonder if she saw the truck sinking into the lake. Wow.
I heard the driver was arrested, but not for the truck going through the ice. They were arrested for something else. I don't know what.
Speeding on the ice.
Maybe.
Drunken driving?
Yeah.
Maybe what was inside the truck, who knows?
Yeah. We don't have enough warnings for lake driving.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
So you like to get out and do, outdoor
Risky
activities
thing.
this time
Risky
of year.
things,
You can't do any snowmobiling right now. Do you ice fish?
What do you do for
I do.
risks?
Do you ice fish? Really?
Oh, no.
Yes.
You do?
I love it. It's my favorite
Do you
kind of
have a
fishing
shanty?
because there's no bugs, there's no mosquitoes, there's nothing like that. So you just sit in a tent, got the
Well,
heater
you just
turned
sold
on
me on
and
it.
fish.
That's it. Okay. I'm with
Wow.
you. No bugs.
Okay.
Exactly. and it's, you
I'm
know,
out there.
what else are you going to do on a cold day? Might as well.
Exactly.
No. do you stay warm? Do you have a little heater there?
Yeah. And I'll tell you, the first time I did this, I went out on Lake Superior. Biggest
Oh,
lake
no.
on ice.
Wow,
Why did I
yes.
do? I was terrified, right?
Yes.
And they've got all these heaters just blasting and the ice is melting and the hole is
Yeah.
made. I'm like, aren't we just going to melt right through this?
Exactly.
No. No.
Well, they
no,
know,
we sat out
right?
there for 8 hours with that
Did you
heater
catch
just
anything?
rolling. Yes,
Yeah.
we did.
Okay.
Hey, they had the caves up there in Lake Superior. Do you think that maybe the draw for tourism at this point? We haven't heard anything about that lately.
No.
Yeah.
You know what? Maybe I'll go up there and investigate that this weekend. Good
That's it.
idea.
That's it. Do it.
That's what I'm going to do.
Okay,
All right,
risk your life.
Brittany.
All right.
Thank you, Brittany. We appreciate your
guys.
report as always. Have a great day. Talk to you tomorrow.
All right.
Brittany Merlot, our civic media meteorologist. She's got a minute or so here.
Well, I'm just kind of wondering, what people think about this, about Meta and Facebook.
Oh, we got a text in here
Instagram.
from Mark. Maybe I should pose the question, which billionaires, Zuck, Bezos, Musk, is winning to become Trump's favorite
Flautist, yes.
Okay. I don't know. They're all kissing the ring now.
This is
Apparently.
so dangerous.
Isn't it?
We were worried about, some of the policies that Trump wanted to put in place, but at this point, we're seeing something completely different. It's the way he wants to run the administration. We were talking about it yesterday about, threatening other countries. Adolf Hitler did a similar thing, thinking, if Germany were in control of all these other countries, how peaceful things could be.
Right.
And now
floating up these trial balloons.
That's right.
Yeah.
And by the way, he was the peace president. Trump was the peace president. Now he's threatening war
Right.
against all these other countries if they don't sell their countries to us, or at least give us control.
Coming up next, right around the corner, Nick Ramos from the Wisconsin Democracy Campaign on John and Gordy in the Morning.
From the Civic Media Mothership, it's the John and Gordy Show.
They said these guys were washed up 3 decades ago, but here they are again on the air in Madison on WMDX. Why? Conspiracy? Or just another dumb program director?
Well, thanks, Stephanie.
Stephanie Miller.
Yeah.
Up here, 8 o'clock, a little after 8.
Following us,
right.
Of course, playing all the other clips that we never had a chance to get to on this program.
Right.
And a Fugle sang. I mean, they got a great lineup of
They do.
great guests.
Yep. 7:35. It's cold out there this morning, 13 degrees, but it's going to warm up nicely around 29 for a high. And look who just walked in.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
Yes. Nick Ramos from Wisconsin Democracy Campaign joining us.
That's fantastic.
In the studio. Good morning, Nick. How you doing?
Good morning, man.
We'll let you...
I haven't seen you guys in a year.
It's been a long time, man. Of course, you're a guest on everybody else's show, and
Wow, sounds bitter.
Acrimony.
Yo,
You're fine.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's good to see you.
Good to see you guys.
Yeah.
Been keeping busy?
Yeah, it's like
Never slows down, does it?
That is such a sick joke, guys. I don't know why every time I go on break or take even just like a little mini vacation or something that I think that I'm going to come back and it's just going to be quiet here. And it never is.
No.
It never is. Our legislature, I think they heard us say enough about them being the least active legislature in the entire country.
Right.
And now they're trying to show that they're worth, their salaries. So we're just off to the races as soon as we get back in January.
Well, that's amazing. I thought you just stopped by to say hello. So apparently you have other things you want to talk about.
Golly.
Big things, I know. Let's talk about the thing that's the main thing on your agenda at this point.
Wow.
What's right at the top of your list?
Oh, wow. I gotta say, I think people are pretty exhausted after going through an entire presidential election cycle. And, Wisconsin, we're not normal, and that we're always in election season here, and we're going to be for a long time. And so, one of my biggest priorities is I want to continue to work on the progress that we've been able to achieve here in Wisconsin when it comes to fair maps. I know that people think that after the governor signed that bill back in February last year that, oh, wow, we solved partisan gerrymandering in the state, but that is a temporary stopgap fix. If we leave it untouched, if we don't get a nonpartisan redistricting piece of legislation passed, an amendment eventually, it's all going to be dismantled. And we're going to go back into the same hell that we've been involved in when it comes to redistricting, where our lawmakers get to call the shots and they get to tell who gets to be represented and who doesn't. And so we got to really continue. And I think that really starts with educating people about how important the Supreme Court race that's coming in April, and making sure that people don't just phone it in after being exhausted after a big presidential election.
Right. We're going to have another redrawing of those maps in about 5 years.
Amen.
And we've got to make sure that the legislature is in the hands of the Democrats.
I'm a nonpartisan player, but I hear you. I mean, balance, I think, is
we
what's
have
important.
to get some kind of balance in there, and we're definitely working on the Supreme Court at this point, but I don't know how hard we have to work. We have Brad Schimmel running for the Supreme Court. Well, my God, I mean, this guy is a bumbling fool, and I have proof of that, by the way. You just go to democurmudgeon.blogspot.com, put in Brad Schimmel, and you will see an amazing array of stories. This guy is incompetent, absolutely incompetent. When he said that the state, and by the way, the Republicans believed him in the legislature, but when he said the state didn't have any control over our water supply in Wisconsin, it's our state, we should have control over that. And they took off on that. Bottlers would come in here and set up camp and drain our aquifer as much as they wanted to, according to Brad Schimmel. That we didn't have control over that. That was insanity, and this guy wants to be on the Supreme Court at this point. We have to make sure he doesn't get there. And I'm sure he'll make a lot of dumb comments and a lot of mistakes on the way to this this election for the Supreme Court, but we still have to emphasize that he does not know what he's doing. He is a tool of the right wing. All right, I mean that's what I'm saying. Okay,
Yeah,
I know you're more nonpartisan.
that's
but-
right.
You get that out of your system now?
No, well, I have a story right here. I was going to do it.
He's
but-
got the Brad Schimmel dossier sitting
Yes, I
here,
do.
you know, in the Civic Media Lounge. Yeah, I mean, as a guy, purely nonpartisan here, gang. You know, my biggest thing is that I want to make sure that the public is very educated about how these candidates land on the issues, because people, you know, a lot of times want to just participate in the really super sexy elections.
Yes, the big ones.
President, Senate, you know, nobody really wants to take the time to really understand the nuts and the bolts of what our state Supreme Court really has the authority to do, what they do, what kind of caseloads they work on. And so I think it's so important to be able to establish some real nice baselines across the electorate so that they have, you know, as much education, as much information so that they can go participate in democracy and be, you know, a well-informed voter. I mean, that's my goal. And, you know, when the voters get their votes in and they're counted, you know, we accept the results of those elections. And I, you know, not to send some kind of, you know, warning shot or, you know, some kind of, you know, message, but I just think when I say that phrase, I just think about how 2020 looked compared to what 2024 looked as far as election results and how we accept them. And, you know, in 2020, we heard a ton about election fraud, integrity, mis and disinformation, all types of fraud claims. And then look how quietly we certify the election this time when a different party takes the White House. And so, you know, I want people to understand that, like, election integrity doesn't just mean that you get to just say something or stomp your feet like you're a kid in Toys R Us that didn't get the toy they want when your candidate loses, that we need to be all participating in this. And that's how the political pendulum swings. Sometimes it goes right, sometimes it goes left, but we need to be doing everything we can to make sure that our institutions are actually being protected and we're not, you know, dismantling them by making all these baseless claims.
Well, they're still trying to make it seem like there's a problem with election integrity, and they want to put something else on the Constitution this time around. Voter ID, and we've been talking about it on this station. You know, one of the most egregious red flags that they could possibly have sent up the last time when they put in voter ID was to take out the DMV, easy access to the DMV on University Avenue, where people could just take a bus and get their voter ID card. They built a new building on University Avenue for the DMV, but they didn't rent it to the DMV. They instead put the DMV out on the west side in Middleton in an industrial park where there wasn't bus service. I mean, you can't get more obvious than trying to make it more difficult to vote than that.
You know, when I arrived here, I didn't expect that, you know, I know that we're right above comedy on state, but I didn't expect the whole stand-up comedy routine up
Well,
here.
thank
But
you.
yet this is our lives.
Yes,
I mean,
this
so,
really is.
you know, a real dark comedy that we get to hear this morning. But, you know, look, it's very frustrating as somebody that I consider myself an expert on voter ID. It was literally my full-time job before I became the executive director of the Wisconsin Democracy Campaign. And I have had to work with people of all different walks of life, all different demographics. And it is not easy to help people get their underlying documents to go get an ID so that they can go vote. Like, everyone sits here and speaks from this place of privilege. Like, well, you need an ID to go get a hotel, or you need an ID to go buy alcohol. But it's like, we're talking about voting here, guys.
Right.
Shouldn't we be doing everything in our power to make sure that our voting age eligible population is all participating? You're literally pushing them farther and farther away, and you're putting some people that deserve to have their voices heard never getting that opportunity to do it. Because look, right now, approximately 10% of the voting age population does not have a government issued ID, a valid one. So if you apply that metric to our voting age population, that is 460,000 people right now, today, in a state where it's razor-thin margins, that they do not get an opportunity to vote because our strict voter ID law, which has been the strictest in the nation for quite some time, and now these guys and gals want to go and enshrine this very bad piece of public policy in the name of election integrity into our Constitution. And that's not fair. And we need to make sure that we push back on that hard.
Talking with Nick Ramos from Wisconsin Democracy Campaign. Our phone lines are open, 608-879-8255. That's 879-TALK if you'd like to chime in with a text or a phone call.
And I think you could add to that all those individuals that don't vote. Yeah, so we should try to get them to vote. And when we hear about election integrity and how horrible it is, and no one believes that you can get your vote counted anymore, it discourages everybody else from not voting.
Bingo.
Yeah.
And what I'm starting to see from some of our state lawmakers is they're taking, photos of like the governor and throwing it back in everyone's face and saying, well, holy mackerel, the governor likes this. Why is everybody now saying that people are being disenfranchised? We haven't stopped, for one, saying that voter ID is terrible. It has been challenged since 2011 in this state. And because people have to become comfortable with something that is extremely discomforting, like that should not be your crutch that you get to then go tote and say, well, everybody's in favor of this. It's just when one party, wants to enshrine this in the Constitution, now you're throwing a fit. It's like these issues have always been issues, and we're going to continue being issues because you want to keep people out of our electoral process, and that is not democracy to me.
It could be so easy if we just registered people when they got their driver's license, right?
Yeah. Now from comedy, we're getting to hear some real, high-level upper management type stuff.
Oh,
right
I
here
know,
today.
I know. Well, that's the way it
They
is here on the
pay
show.
you the big bucks for that, I see. But common sense and decency, it just does not seem to really resonate in this state. And that's why I'm trying to make sure that when I'm going in here and testifying, that I'm voicing the frustrations of what people see from the outside and what I have to hear. And it's, everybody says that there's no real bipartisanship in this state. It's one party that gets to rule with ironclad fists, and the other one gets to just ride with whatever agenda they pick. And how is that fair for a state that is way more 50-50 than, what these committees are looking like, how the maps have changed somewhat the political landscape here, but yet the committees are so misbalanced. I mean, you have, it's 9, 10, Republicans, 2 Democrats. How is that indicative of the populations that are here in the state? It's not.
If it were the other way around, we'd hear about it. What about the initiative proposal from Governor Evers?
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
And it strikes a chord in my heart, being from Ohio and knowing that while Ohio has plenty of issues in and of itself, and nobody hold me being from Cleveland against me, I will just say that they back home have citizen-led ballot initiatives where, it's kind of cool to let the people on issues that they think ought to be law have an opportunity to put that on the ballot instead of the lawmakers telling us what we need, trying to self-diagnose us like there's some kind of doctors that have never seen us ever in our lives, but they just know the best for us. It would be really cool. So the governor recently talked about in the budget trying to be able to pass a constitutional amendment that would give us the power to actually be able to bring ballot initiatives, not advisory referendums, actual citizen-led ballot initiatives. And
we got to take a break here, but this is really, really an important issue because usually the idea here is that there's a huge majority of Wisconsinites who want, legal pot. They want health care. There are a whole bunch of issues that we could get to on those ballot initiatives and take care of these problems. And the Republicans don't want to hear it. They don't want to listen to the people.
We will continue with Nick Ramos from Wisconsin Democracy Campaign on John and Gordy in just a moment. Stay with us.
Our freedom and our dignity. Now raise your voice and let's keep hope alive in 2025.
101.7 WMDX.
We're with Nick Ramos from Wisconsin Democracy Campaign. We're going to talk about initiatives.
Yes. Ballot initiatives that Governor Evers really wants to push in this state. Finally, get the people to say what they want to see on our Constitution, say what they want to make changes to. So far the Republicans, their language has always been, well, the people don't want this. Well, they're telling us what the people don't want. BS.
Nick, over to you.
I just want to stand here and just listen to you cook this morning, honestly, because it's just being in the bubble. I just don't get to hear these kind of hot takes. Honestly.
Well, I know.
Okay. Life is but a comedy at this point. But it's such a novel concept. Doesn't it sound great to us just to be able to have that kind of level of agency, to be able to actually step in and say, you know what? All these things, you mentioned marijuana, you mentioned healthcare. I mean, there is a long treasure trove of things that people have been begging for. We've pulled it. There's so many things people are interested in. But of course, Daddy Warbucks and the fellow lawmakers there in the Capitol happen to know better than what we know here.
We're talking during the break about minimum wage.
Oh, yeah. I don't know how long it's been $7.25 in this state, but last time I checked, we spent a lot of time talking about the economy and inflation. I think we should be bringing that number up at some point.
Why didn't that come up in the discussions? Inflation, of course, was hitting everybody hard, and no one brought up raising the minimum wage in Wisconsin. And the thing is, we're watching the minimum wage go up in all the other very, very, very red states. They're voting these things in. The public has a say in this. And, we had an initiative in Milwaukee, I think it was for extended child
care
leave, right?
Leave,
yeah, sick leave. Yeah. And the Republicans didn't like that. It was too out of balance. People moved to Milwaukee and all of a sudden there's sick leave there. Oh my gosh. That's different from the rest of the state. How would they know what to do? And then they made it, where no one could have a special type of situation in each and every city. And it wasn't just for sick leave. It was for everything else. Statewide laws. That's what they believe in very strongly, because it's just too confusing if we have individualized laws and taxes and in cities and in communities all over.
Wow.
Too complicated.
Wow. Not doing the hard work to actually be able to deliver the solutions to people instead of giving a one-size-fits-all approach to everybody. Because, what just baffles me is the fact that, we see folks all the time talk in these kinds of circles where they are not acknowledging the fact that other people have different life experiences. We're not all starting at the starting line together. And this should not be something. Just like I hear similar arguments when it comes to student loan debt, and people are talking about, well, these students, they knew what they were signing themselves up for, so they ought to pay back their loans. And it's like, we grew up in a system where they told you that you needed to get a college degree. You needed that to be able to go get a career that's actually going to mean something. And no one was spending time talking to me about the trades when I was growing up. And man, that would have been interesting. But, there was so much emphasis on that. And then the way that the system's been created, it's almost impossible to pay your student loans back. But then you hear people complain and talk about how, well, they signed up for it. They made their bed, let them lie in it. But other people that have already graduated and still own loans, and they're seeing people getting their loans forgiven. They're like, well, why would I be mad that other people are going to get their loans forgiven? Like, we should not be looking at people and then getting pissed off because, oh, well, these group of people get something nice and I don't get that nice thing, so no one can have it. Like, you're not my parents. You don't get to ground me like that. Like, no.
It is bad. They just don't want to see anybody else get that helping hand that lift and get society back on its feet again. And we know that these loans have prevented people from, buying cars, buying homes, starting families, little things like that would just boost the economy through the roof, basically, if we just had that. And so many other countries, by the way, pay for a college education. So they know beforehand that it works, but we just resist because we have to be these rugged individuals.
You got to pull yourself up by your bootstraps,
boy.
brother. Let me tell you something. You know, my granddad and his dad, you know, they were self-made men. They didn't have any help. Like, you know, like, what are we talking about? Like, we're a society that needs to be able to resolve, like, to work with people to get anywhere in this life. And it's like, anybody sits there and say they're self-made anything, they're a liar. Like, you know, maybe besides Rambo in the movie, otherwise everybody else, like, you know, we're here trying to do the best we can with what we have. And like, we should be working to try and implement policy that is beneficial for everybody. And if you don't necessarily get to enjoy that benefit, but somebody else does, like, your response shouldn't be, well, that's not fair, so let's just be scorched earth about it. Like, we should be trying to bring everybody up so we can have the best, strongest Wisconsin, best, strongest country.
You can argue against all of that, but also think about change, making things better, progressing. That's what it's all about.
Hear, hear.
Nick Ramos, thanks for being with us again.
Fellas.
Always
a
pleasure.
treat.
I know you're a busy man. You're going to move on to your next thing for today.
Pray for me, guys.
We're glad to have informed you. I know you're in that little bubble. But
wow, this is like church to me. Let me tell you. Thursday morning.
Great to have you. We'll see you again soon. Tomorrow, Jimmy K will join us in for Rocker with a Max Inc. preview.
Stephanie Miller is up next.
We hope you have a great day. Thanks for listening. Talk to you first thing in the morning.
John and Gordy in the morning. As we were saying, let the sun shine. It's the John and Gordy